Okay, so the New York Post is reporting the Warriors didn't realize how cold Kevin Durant really was when they thought the possibility of Kevin Durant returning to the Golden State Warriors. All right. The Warriors wasn't expecting Kevin Durant to be dismissive about the potential return. Before they required Jimmy Butler, the Golden State Warriors tried to bring Kevin Durant back to the Bay Area and had a three-team trade in place that would have given the 36-year-old a chance to compete for his third championship with the franchise. But Durant's coldness about the idea was unexpected by the Warriors brass. All right. And even Steph Curry knew after talking to Durant on the phone in recent days of a return was extremely unlikely, the outlet is reporting. Now, people are going to ask themselves uh, why Kevin Durant was so cold and dismissive about returning to the Golden State Warriors. People are going to, so a lot of scenarios in the air. Well, he's still harboring feelings over the Suns' front office, particularly choosing Draymond Green over Kevin Durant. I do feel like when Kevin Durant was with the Golden State Warriors, he probably planted a bug in the front office ear about trading Draymond Green after they got into an altercation, a shouting match. They also, a lot of people are saying that Kevin Durant thought that the Golden State Warriors was his franchise, particularly he was the main primary reason why they won why they won titles when he was with the Golden State Warriors. All right, even though the Golden State Warriors won titles before Kevin Durant and won a title after Kevin Durant, it seems like Kevin Durant couldn't reduplicate that magic in his time with the Brooklyn Nets nor with the Phoenix Suns. Okay, so you got those scenarios out there, and particularly the front office thought that this was a possibility because Kevin Durant and Draymond Green seemed like they squashed their issues on I think it was Draymond Green's podcast or Kevin Durant's podcast. It really doesn't matter. I think they did interviews on both podcasts of both shows, and the front office of the Golden State Warriors saying, well, okay, well, everything seems like it's resolved. Seems like they don't squash their beefs, their issues, their disagreements with one another. So, the possibility of him returning to the Golden State Warriors isn't far-fetched. And this is what I say, and this is why I say you can't believe everything on social media. You can't believe these big-time podcasts and these big-time networks like Fox Sports 1 and ESPN. You just can't take everything what they say is the gospel truth. Sometimes you have to take it with a teaspoon of salt, okay? And particularly with Kevin Durant and Draymond Green, when they did that interview together, and they, I still think, even though they, danced around the subject and they made it seem like they're cool and all that, I still think they've grown I think both of them grow hostilities towards one another. But they don't want to display that because of social media. And they just want to keep it politically correct. And I think the front office of the Golden State Warriors was mesmerized by them doing a podcast going, well, there's a possibility that Kevin Durant can return to the Golden State Warriors. But they said Kevin Durant was cold and dismissive about it. He doesn't want to return to the Golden State Warriors, even though besides Oklahoma City Thunder, where he had success there, he also had success with the Golden State Warriors. And let's talk about those two franchises for a moment. What they have in common. They have a strong-minded organization, and they have great executives with the Oklahoma City Thunder and with the Golden State Warriors. Bob Myers, who was with the Golden State Warriors. Sam Presti was the Oklahoma City guy in charge, particularly when it came to roster talent, drafts, and all that. And when Kevin Durant was with both of those organizations, everything was fine. Kevin Durant can just go on court, play basketball. His skill set, his talent, his IQ, he can fit with anybody. He can play literally with anybody. And he demonstrated it in his career, particularly with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Golden State Warriors. But when you allow Kevin Durant to run your organization like he did with the Brooklyn Nets, and you see how much of a disaster that turned out to be, they're still reeling from that. Even though I feel like the Brooklyn Nets deserve some responsibility in that as well. You shouldn't let him run your franchise like that. But those are the things that they agreed upon with Kevin Durant. All right, and if you look at the Phoenix Suns, he did that with the Phoenix Suns. He wanted Bradley Beal. Devin Booker was already there. They had Chris Paul. The Phoenix Suns was having some success with Chris Paul and Devin Booker and a cast of players around them. At one point, they had oh God, I forgot the guy's name. They had success even without Kevin Durant. Now they couldn't win the title, but they did have success with Chris Paul and Devin Booker. And then when they traded for Kevin Durant, obviously Chris Paul could not be there, okay? Because contracts, you had to, they didn't have enough salary. They didn't have enough salary cap to keep both of them. So if you want Kevin Durant, you have to get rid of Chris Paul. Devin Booker, he's already tied to a contract, okay? And they brought in Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal had a no trade in his contract, all right? So it would have been difficult for the front office for the Phoenix Suns. Even if they tried it and they experimented for a year or two and it didn't work out, they still had the flexibility to trade Bradley Beal someplace else where he would work out there, and he hasn't worked out. And I remember doing a video talking about how that was not a good deal from the perspective of the Phoenix Suns. Yes, you get Kevin Durant. You already got a Devin Booker. But to add Bradley Beal, I just didn't see the skill set fitting with all three of those players. And look at the Phoenix Suns. They haven't been good since they traded for Kevin Durant. I'm not saying it's all Kevin Durant's fault, but once again, when you go to a franchise and you're letting the superstar control your destiny and control your future, it's going to send your franchise in peril. Once again, the Brooklyn Nets have not even, and I'm gonna do a video about them. They haven't even dug out of the hole that they find themselves in when they traded for Kevin Durant. They got Kyrie Irving, and at one point they got rid of their whole team for James Harden. Look how that turned out. All right, so they're dealing with a lot of their bad decision making, and they're still stuck in a hole. All right, a lot of people thought the Cleveland Cavaliers was never going to be very competitive or have the ability to win a title without LeBron James. Look what the Cleveland Cavaliers have done. Dan Gilbert stood firm. He did not want LeBron James to hold his franchise captive, okay? He was happy that he decided to go to the Los Angeles Lakers. Yeah, the Los Angeles Lakers won a title, but since then, the Los Angeles Lakers have been scrambling, and now they just said to themselves, look, we can't hold this franchise hostage and give LeBron James everything he wants. And if you look at the trade that they did earlier this week, getting Luka, that should indicate to people that LeBron doesn't have full control of that franchise. I don't have an issue with if a franchise won't input from their players or won't input from their stars or won't input from their fan base, but it should be someone there making the decisions that doesn't have an emotional investment to appease the fans, to appease their families, or to appease their ego. It has to be someone there that's even keel, that's going to make decisions that are best for the franchise. All right. And that's why when you look at Kevin Durant, the two places he had the most success with are the two places that had strong leadership in the front office. And the two places that he's struggling with, the front office is allowing Kevin Durant to do whatever. Now, another part of this video I want to talk about and discuss is, Kevin Durant, just mush mouth the Golden State Warriors by saying, we'll push them out of the way, saying, I don't want to return. Okay. But Kevin Durant's real big issue is the front office of the Phoenix Suns wouldn't mind to see you go. Okay. Talk about you're not wanted with the Golden State Warriors. You're not wanted with the Phoenix Suns. And the Golden State Warriors was extending an olive branch of the possibility for you to return with the Golden State Warriors. Seemed like you made a path with Draymond Green, all good in the hood with Draymond Green. You had no issues with Steph Curry, and you still did not want to return to the Golden State Warriors on good faith. You didn't want to return to the Golden State Warriors. Out of the two teams, the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors were welcoming you back with open arms to return to them. But you said, nah, fam, I don't want to go there. And you just push them in the face. And you go back to a situation with the Phoenix Suns where they're not going anywhere. And plus that front office wants you gone anyway. Okay? They can't get rid of Bradley Beal. He has a no trade in his contract. They'll be foolish to get rid of Devin Booker. He's the immediate future. You're not. All right? So it's like a guy that's in a bad relationship gets an opportunity to go to a new relationship to a woman that appreciates him, but he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to go in a good, healthy, in a good relationship, and to start all over again. He'd rather just stay in the miserable relationship and be miserable with this person that don't even want him. The woman don't even want you, Kevin Durant. So it's weird. But that's that era of stars. That era is about to end. Sooner rather than later, Kevin Durant is going to get older, and Kevin Durant is not going to have the input that he had as far as controlling the front office. They appreciate him. His next team would appreciate him and how he contributes on the court. But as far as him making decisions for who he should play, what players he wants around him, and those days are behind Kevin Durant. You messed up two franchises. I don't see another franchise that's willing to just let you do whatever you want to do. There is a possibility of Kevin Durant returning to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder would give up some draft picks. They would probably give up. They will also have to give up a contract that's similar or matches Kevin Durant's, and his return to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's put it this way. It's kind of funny to me how he left the Oklahoma City Thunder saying that they don't have enough there for him to win a title. And the Oklahoma City Thunder franchise didn't get upset about it, appreciate what he contributed to the Oklahoma City Thunder, particularly that last year with Oklahoma City Thunder where he was, when he had issues with the press over there, and he went to Golden State, not one, but two titles with the Golden State Warriors, and he wasn't happy with the Golden State Warriors because he wasn't their homegrown star. And I always said this, Kevin Durant was the Johnny Gill of New Edition. I know a lot of you people that's watching this video don't even know who New Edition is. But, you know, it'd be like Johnny Gill having an issue with the fans saying, well, y'all don't scream as hard as me like the original members. They're the original members. Johnny Gill appreciates that, and he fit in with that group. And when that group welcomed back Bobby Brown, he didn't have an issue with Bobby Brown returning to the group. And Kevin Durant should, learn something from that story. Even though you're not the homegrown star and you wasn't there from the beginning, and you're sort of there when they are rolling on all cylinders, and yes, they needed you, particularly to overcome LeBron James, and that 2-year period really stopped LeBron James' legacy. A lot of people don't talk about that. How if they didn't make that trade for Kevin Durant, there's a possibility LeBron James could have won 2 titles with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know why I say the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Cavaliers. All right. But who knows? Kyrie Irving wanted to get away from Cleveland because he knew that LeBron, his time with the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James there, he knew it was going to be short-lived. And it was going to always, every year, import different players and different pieces to fit LeBron James. And Kyrie Irving knew sooner rather than later, he was going to be exiled from the Cleveland Cavaliers. So he got the ball running on that. But yes, Kevin Durant, if you wasn't there, the possibility of the Golden State Warriors winning 2 titles, I wouldn't say it would be difficult. Could they win 1 title out of those 2 years? Possible. All right. And while you was there, you did stop LeBron James of possibly winning more titles with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay. Though what you contribute to the Golden State Warriors is very appreciative. But for you to say the fan base should forget their homegrown stars, and you feel like you was a homegrown star to the Golden State Warriors, you wanted to be appreciated, you wanted to be cheered as much, if not more, than a Steph Curry, a Klay Thompson, and a Draymond Green. That kind of bugged you. You didn't feel warm and fuzzy inside about that. I don't understand why you expected to go to the Golden State Warriors, how they was going to forget those other stars. And what Draymond Green did, and what Draymond Green said was actually true. We won titles before you got there, and we will win titles after you leave. And they won a title. Okay? I think the decision that Kevin Durant made by going to Brooklyn destroyed a lot of careers. Not only Kevin Durant, the possibility of him winning even more titles, but James Harden, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, when he joined the Golden State Warriors, it limited LeBron James of winning titles. And I don't think a lot of people are going to be talking about this. I think it's a foregone. This is something that ESPN will do a documentary on maybe 5 or 10 years down the road. And people are going to say, oh, I remember that. Even though I brought it up, but, people are going to go, oh, I remember that. But, yeah, Kevin Durant is obviously going to be traded from Phoenix in the offseason. And if he returns to the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Oklahoma City Thunder really don't need Kevin Durant. They don't need Kevin Durant. They will kick the tires of a possibility of him returning to Oklahoma City Thunder, but they know they got enough talent there, and they got a smorgasbord of draft picks to do it all over again. They don't need a Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant needs the Oklahoma City Thunder more so than the Oklahoma City Thunder needing Kevin Durant. It's a feel-good story, returning back to your hometown, helping them win a title. But when it's all said and done, real people that know the NBA knows that the Oklahoma City Thunder was going to win a title with or without Kevin Durant. And that's the bottom line. But yeah, they will probably have to the kid Shay, I butcher people's name on a constant, consistent basis. The guy who stays injured, he will have to be part of that trade. He will go to the Phoenix Suns. If he goes to the Shea Gilgeous Alexander, I think that's his name. I think I butchered his name. He would have to be part of the trade. He will have to go to Phoenix. If they get him, obviously the Phoenix Suns are rebuilding. They should do Devin Booker a solid and trade him to a ball club that's contending. I do feel like if that's the trade that's going to happen with OKC and Phoenix and Kevin Durant going to Oklahoma City Thunder, obviously you have to, he will be included in the package. He will go to the Phoenix Suns. This would spearhead, and they're going to get a couple of picks for it. The Phoenix Suns will be in the rebuilding state. They will do Devin Booker a solid and trade him to a competitive team, probably out east. Who knows? Maybe the Miami Heat would kick the tires around of a Devin Booker going to the Miami Heat. Who knows? Whatever. And obviously, Bradley Beal will have to, that will make it faster for Bradley Beal to waive his no trade, and he too goes somewhere as well. And obviously there will have to, it's going to be a lot of people losing their jobs in the front office. Okay. And I forgot the ex guy that was in the front office of the Golden State Warriors. I believe I'm talking about Bob Myers. I probably butchered his name. I forgot the guy's name. I don't think his name is Bob Myers. But anyway, someone new or someone from a previous franchise that have been winning would probably be the man in charge as far as, rebuilding the Phoenix Suns. And this is, and I'm almost done with this video. To me, this is why a lot of restaurants fail in the first year. You know why a lot of restaurants fail in the first year? Because they have the wrong person making the decisions. A lot of restaurants fail in the first year because the chef is the owner of the restaurant. And obviously the chef is going to make business decisions on how the restaurant should operate and run. Instead of the chef getting someone to make those decisions for him, to make the best business decisions, and he just stays in the kitchen and make sure he makes the best possible food, okay, to keep customers coming in. A lot of cases in a lot of restaurants, the chef makes those business decisions, and that's why a lot of restaurants fail. Sometimes your star or the most talented person or the most skillful person shouldn't be making business decisions. You should allow them to utilize their talents, being the person that they are, being the creative person, the skillful person. And when it comes to business decisions, you should hire someone that will make the better business decisions. Okay? And that's what's going on in the NBA. This era, the LeBron James era, the Steph Curry era, the Kawhi Leonard era, the Kevin Durant era, the James Harden era, the Kyrie Irving era, in some way Luka era is over. A lot of franchises are putting the control back into the front office. And, allowing they appreciate their star players when it comes to their input. They appreciate their star players when they come to them and ask them about a certain player or a certain skill set or a certain coach. But for them to make the decision, those days are behind us. This will make the NBA a lot more healthier. it will that era, even though we saw some great things in that era, the one thing we didn't see is, in particularly in that era, those players being competitive that would play against each other. That era was the super team era, where great players wanted to play with other great players. The big three, the big four, super teams. That spawned that era. And a lot of people are not going to appreciate all the good things that era created. People are going to focus on, well, that was the era where the big three, the super teams, formed. And was not and a lot of things, and I feel like in that era, it was no one wanted to compete with anyone else. You never heard LeBron James saying, I want to compete against Kevin Durant. You always kept hearing him saying, it would be great if LeBron James was on the same team with Steph Curry or Kevin Durant. That was the All-Star era, when they allowed the players to pick their favorite All-Star. That was that era. Even though there was a lot of great things that happened in that era, there was a lot of titles won in that era. There was different ways to win titles in that era. But the only person, to me, that decided what he wanted to do and won and was very successful, consistent, and won titles in that era was LeBron James. LeBron James didn't start winning titles until he went with the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat organization didn't allow LeBron James to hold the franchise hostage. That's where he won his first titles there. And then when LeBron wanted to take his talent away from South Beach back to Cleveland, won a title with Cleveland, then won another title with the Los Angeles Lakers. Even though it was a shortened season, COVID, a lot of players didn't want to play. But people, I felt like that last title of LeBron James isn't as important as his other titles at his stops at Miami and Cleveland. So, yeah, this is an end of an era when Kevin Durant is traded to another team in the offseason, and you're gonna hear the possibility of LeBron James possibly being traded to another team. That's an end of an era. That chapter has closed, and now a new chapter has begun with these new players. Now, I feel like they need a new commissioner, because this commissioner, pacified a lot and created that era. Continuing that era, thought that was the best era. It's clearly not the best era. But I think they need a new commissioner, or this commissioner needs to sit in the lab and welcome the new era and put rules in place where it's going to be difficult for you to have a big three there or a super team there. We need the NBA to be more competitive. All right. I don't want to be the old man on the porch, but if you look at the other leagues, they're competitive. They don't have all the best players on one team. All right. If you look at the NFL, there's a reason why the NFL is so successful and why people are willing to pay hand and foot for the NFL. The NFL is very competitive. All right. Very, very competitive. Okay. So the NBA needs to get to that point, because sooner rather than later, this TV contract is going to end. Maybe not next year, but it's going to end. And you want to put something in place, a product in place that that ESPN will continue to pay high top dollar to have NBA content there. and and the other sports networks. Okay, so yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, this video was extremely long. I dived in a lot of conversation. I appreciate everyone who watched it from start to finish. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces.